You for having me.
Savannah Sachs. Savannah is the CEO of Tula, a leading skincare brand with an awesome mission focused on positivity, inclusivity, and self-esteem. Savannah, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Excited for the discussion today.
Absolutely. I don't know, Savannah, if you know this, but we went to the same business school and joined startups afterwards. So I feel like we've followed pretty similar paths. Um, Tell me a little bit about your journey, maybe prior to Tula, and how you came to be one of the CEO there in 2018.
Definitely. So, my journey started in a bit of a more traditional way. I began my career in management consulting and really loved it, getting to see inside of lots of different business models and organizations and teams and cultures and see across industries. But after business school, I decided to jump into the startup world and fell in love with beauty as a space and industry. So I joined Birchbox, which was a wild adventure, and I learned so much. Incredibly grateful for my time there. And really, at that time, fell in love with beauty as an industry and how you can really build powerful, purpose-driven brands in a really exciting way. And really got interested in the clean beauty space. And so back in 2018, when I got to know Tula and the founder there, felt like there was something really special going on with the brand. And, for me, was thrilled to join for this phase of the Tula journey. I love building teams and really driving rapid business growth. And so it was an exciting time to join. And to give a little bit of context on Tula, it was founded in 2014 by Dr. Roshini Raj, who is a superwoman and mom of two young boys, a full-time doctor. She's a gastroenterologist and a media wellness expert. She really does it all. And she saw probiotics as a breakthrough innovation in skincare and wellness and really had this light bulb moment in her own practice with her patients around the power of probiotics. So she set out to build a skincare and wellness brand, really centered on that powerful ingredient and ultimately focused on inspiring confidence. So that's really in our core DNA and ultimately our purpose and what gets us excited. And so fast forward to today, we are in that rapid growth mode and it's been really fun. So feel lucky to have joined the team.
I'm curious how the Birchbox experience shaped a bit of your insight into the market and now your strategy at Tula, because obviously you're exposed to so much of the beauty market. Were there opportunities you felt like you could capitalize coming and, effectively running your own brand, lessons that are helping you now from that experience?
So many lessons, everything from getting to know the beauty industry to really building my general manager skill set. And I'd say most importantly, how to build a happy, high performing team. Most tangibly and probably relevant for this discussion is that, really built my understanding expertise in digitally native social first businesses. At Tula, over 50% of our revenue is direct to consumer. We're very much a digitally native and social first brand in everything that we do. We have a 360 omni strategy and still believe, especially in beauty, because it's such a touch and feel category, that offline and brick and mortar and in-person shopping will continue to play an important role. But for us, that D2C channel and really capability has been core to our rapid growth and was able to bring a lot of my Birchbox experience to bear at Tula on that dimension.
Awesome. Yeah. And the fact that you've grown 200 to 300% the past 3 years in a row, incredibly impressive. And like you said, e-commerce now, the majority of sales. I think it's fair to say that the audience here probably wants to know what's the secret to growing so successfully year after year, especially digitally native.
Yes, well, I think that it's easy to immediately jump to and think about, your digital marketing capabilities, influencer, which is incredibly important to us at Tula, conversion optimization, digital product experience, and I'm sure we're going to dive in on so many of those aspects. I think it starts with really making sure you're building a relevant brand and offering products that work. And so, for us, we really sit at the intersection of beauty and wellness, and we offer clean, clinically effective formulas that are powered by probiotics and superfoods. So, really unique, differentiated ingredient story. And we believe that the customer shouldn't have to choose between what's healthy and what works. So, we're a clean brand, but what's important to us is actually what's in the formula, the powerful actives that are delivering those results targeted at our customers' skin concerns. So I think it's important to always start with relevant brand, great products. And then, of course, for us, as I mentioned, that rapid growth you mentioned on Tula.com has really been driven by a fantastic digital product experience and investing in the UX, UI of Tula.com to drive conversion. Really smart, ROI focused and diverse marketing mix. And a big component of that is our influencer program, which we do a bit differently at Tula and are really proud of. And I would say all underpinned by fantastic organic social strategy and a really powerful content engine. So that's it in a snapshot. And I'm sure we'll dive into some of those elements in the next few minutes.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more. Obviously, we're an influencer company. I'd love to hear a bit about your influencer strategy, how maybe you do take a different approach to building, programs with influencers, with ambassadors, and especially since, obviously the mission that you bring to the table is so inclusive. I'd love to hear more about that.
Definitely. We really think of influencers as a social selling distribution channel. And we see every single influencer as an entrepreneur who's really building, a bespoke online digital boutique with an incredibly engaged community. And so we have a rock star in-house team that is developing those relationships with the influencers, really looking, to your point, to align from a brand and values standpoint and make sure that they're really excited about our vision to inspire confidence and help our community embrace their skin, and that they love the product. It always starts with try the product. If you love it, let's talk. It really needs to start with an authentic love for the brand and the product. And because we really see them as entrepreneurs and as a digital distribution channel, we actually run it like a hybrid affiliate program. So they are earning commission on every sale. And that's really important to us, that incentives are aligned and they're building their business. And we also really work on long-term strategic partnerships. So these are, once we really test and build a relationship, annual contracts and long-term focus and content programs, which I think is core to really building trust with the audience. The other thing that we do, which is quite different, is we really give 100% creative control. We think that the influencers know their audience best, and we will support them in the education and information about brand and product, but ultimately they're in charge. And that creative control, I think, is really important to having a fantastic relationship and also getting the best performing content. So those are some of the examples of really how we think about influencer strategically and how we think about building that program in a different way that really works for our brand and business.
I love that. You hit on so many, I think, of the strategies that we've seen be most successful, thinking about long-term partnerships, having a more flexible ambassador strategy, letting creators tell their own narrative and kind of weaving that with the mission and the values that you have, and not kind of constraining them like an advertisement, right? So many of the things that we preach so much. So I love hearing it coming from you. I guess like switching gears a little bit to what's happened over the last year. Obviously, it's been a crazy year and keeps going. It seems like. And I remember reading somewhere that in addition to obviously being great at the digital experience, one of your superpowers was creating fantastic in-person experiences for your customers. Obviously, those are out the window. So how has kind of your approach generally over the last year shifted in terms of marketing as the focus has become so much more DTC? How do you recreate the same types of awesome experiences you've had online and build those same relationships with your customers?
Great question. It has been a wild year, of course, and we feel very lucky and fortunate to have been so well positioned, and for actually 2020 to have even further accelerated our growth as a company. And I think to your point, it was really about how do we think about building frictionless yet personalized high touch online experiences that really mirror what the customer is used to in terms of shopping in person. So a couple of examples here. First, we have a digital skin quiz, which we first launched actually over 3 years ago. So we were one of the first beauty brands to go to market with the quiz format, which has become quite popular. But for us, it's really about continual innovation. And so we relaunched the quiz in late 2020 with a focus on further optimizing the UX for a mobile experience. Over 80% of our traffic is mobile. And so what we did was reduce the number of clicks required to complete the quiz by 50%. So cut them in half. We also actually thought about the cognitive load. So how easy or hard is it to navigate and complete the quiz? And this can be very subtle, nuanced elements like button placement that add up to a really powerful impact in terms of the customer experience as they navigate that quiz. We also optimize load speed. Sometimes it's easy to think about fancy features on your website and that as an important lever, but often it's speed that can be the biggest driver in terms of conversion and performance and a great customer experience. So those are some examples of some of the changes we made to optimize performance. We also really focused in on offering personalized results in a routine format. So this idea that when you go into a store and you're talking to a highly educated sales associate, they're often helping you understand, what is the best first step in a cleanser, the second step in a toner, the third step in a moisturizer. So we optimized the skin quiz to offer you that personalized routine format in terms of your results. And the results were really remarkable. We saw a 29% improvement in revenue per visit. So what that tells us is the customer is finding it easier and more enjoyable to take the quiz. They're getting more relevant and personalized results, and therefore converting at a higher rate and purchasing that full routine. So that's one example of really leaning in, continuing to optimize and innovate in terms of that digital experience online. Another really exciting program we piloted in 2020 was to actually create live skincare advisor chat on Tula.com. So what we did was we actually have a fantastic full-time retail field team that is normally in Ulta and Nordstrom talking to the customer face-to-face. And when stores shut down in Q2 last year, our goal was to keep that team whole and not have to furlough or lay off anyone despite the stores being shut down. So our tech team, on just 2 weeks' notice, spun up a live chat. We cross-trained the in-person retail team to offer really personalized consultative experiences via chat online, and really found that a great win-win. For us, what was most important was keeping our team whole. Also a great opportunity to test and learn in terms of a new customer experience model online. And again, we saw really solid results here. For customers that engaged with the beauty chat, we saw a 28% lift in average order value. So really improving the basket size as customers got that high touch, virtual, but one-to-one experience in helping them discover and shop for Tula. So a fun program that we were excited to test and learn last year. An example of how you really need to pivot quickly in these uncertain times.
Yeah, it's amazing that you kind of almost reinvented the experiences that you knew made you special from an in-person store experience and kind of translated those into the online experience, which is really remarkable that you were able to turn it around that quickly. Are there things that you're particularly excited about in 2021 that are similar to that, as I'm sure your digital presence continues to grow and potentially maybe the in-store experience comes back as well?
Definitely. We actually are seeing incredible strength and growth in brick and mortar and offline sales again. And we're really thrilled with our partnership with Ulta. Our team is back in store, of course, following all the necessary safety protocols, and really reimagining what that in-store experience and customer interaction looks like, given COVID safety guidelines, of course. But we're continuing to invest in and lean in on D2C and digital as well. We are building out our tech team. And one of the exciting things on the roadmap this year is actually going headless. So we're investing in the digital e-commerce experience and going to be one of the first beauty brands to invest in a headless e-commerce experience. So what that means is that we will continue to use Shopify Plus for all back end of our website, but we will layer on top a custom built front end. And what that means is we have more control over the customer experience and UX and features, and can build things in a way that's really innovative and works for our customer. And also very significant improvements in terms of speed, which goes back to my point around sometimes it's focusing on speed as the most important lever to drive performance, great customer experience, and ultimately conversion. So we're very excited to be building a headless platform and ramping up our in-house tech team to do so. So that'll launch later this year.
Really excited to see that. I'd love to shift gears towards your mission, because I ever since I found out about Tula, I've absolutely loved the mission and the values and the message you're trying to get out there, and the focus you have on empowering people through self-esteem and positivity. And I know that you ran this survey to, I think, thousands of people and found some interesting results that 70% of customers felt like beauty ads degrade their self-confidence, and only like 1% of respondents felt like social media actually helps them feel more confident. And you launched this really great Embrace Your Skin initiative. Can you tell us more about this initiative and kind of the type of maybe social space you're trying to build for your community?
From day one, we've focused on skin positivity and beauty from the inside out. And in the last year, we decided it was time to raise the bar and recommit in an even bigger way to this really important purpose of ours. And to inform that work, we did a survey to over 10,000 community members. And the results were really alarming. To your point, 70% of women felt that beauty ads degrade their self-confidence. That is really clearly stating a need for change in the industry. And we really want to be a positive force of change in the beauty industry. So we really recommitted with a promise to our community to reimagine language, reimagine imagery, reimagine social norms, reimagine skincare as a whole. So some of the things that we committed to, we no longer and certify that we do not do any retouching on skin in any of our brand photography. We also really committed to reinforcing and using positive language, because language really matters. So for example, last year we launched an anti-aging franchise, but we don't believe there's anything anti about aging. So we refuse to call it that. It's ageless beauty. So for us, those are subtle yet powerful ways that through language, you're really reinforcing a more positive narrative and not catering to or sort of devolving into the typically more negative and fear-based marketing that has been part of the beauty industry for years and years. We also offer a positive text affirmation service where you can sign up for free and get a positive affirmation weekly from Tula. So those are some examples of the commitments we've made and the really ethos behind how we can offer more skin positivity and really inspire confidence so that our community can embrace their skin. And for us, it's really been about these powerful conversations we're driving, particularly on social. So we worked with our influencer community and actually had over 600 content creators post about their own confidence journeys, and really in authentic, vulnerable ways that made you feel as you read them that you're not alone, right? That everyone is struggling with confidence. And we now have over 12,000 posts on Embrace Your Skin hashtag, really creating this authentic, powerful conversation around what it means to be confident and to embrace your skin. And that to us is success, right? It's creating a conversation. It's starting a movement. It's, again, reimagining language, imagery, norms, and skincare as an industry.
You'd imagine like social media was almost created for that type of authentic conversation. You kind of look at certain platforms like Instagram, for example, and I feel like so much of the vibe is around perfection, and it's so almost like different to what you're trying to foster in terms of the conversation there. Do you feel like, given that there have been challenges in kind of having that type of persona on, say, Instagram or other platforms, and or do you feel like there are platforms that are actually most exciting for you going forward, given that you are trying to have that really authentic conversation with your community?
Instagram is our priority platform and really critical to how we think about building the brand. It's been very exciting to see momentum building around this idea of skin positivity and really a higher degree of focus on really purpose-driven and values-based brands. And I would say even in the last few months, we've seen several other brands join in on using ageless instead of anti-aging, which is fantastic. The more the merrier. We've also seen many influencers, both in our community and beyond, commit to no longer using filters in any of their content. So the conversation is building momentum, and we're thrilled to be part of pushing that forward.
That's amazing. That's so great that you can actually shift the dialogue, and as a brand or as a group of brands, that's really powerful. I mean, you talked about a little bit about how even the influencers or the ambassadors have shifted their language. How has your mission and this idea of no touch-ups, very authentic quality content, how is that driven the way you've picked who are the ambassadors, who are the influencers that you want talking about your brand, and kind of like the messages that they want to send out?
I will say that alongside Embrace Your Skin and that being an always-on initiative for us, we have definitely doubled down on our efforts in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that starts internally in terms of our own team and our own internal values and processes and systems and policies and cultural norms. And then from there really flows through to how do we think about building our brand and showing up in the right ways that are required and necessary and aligned with our beliefs in terms of, again, our role in making sure that the full range of skin tones, skin concerns, sexual orientation, gender can see themselves reflected in our content and in our brand and find products that work for them. So we have definitely raised the bar in terms of making sure that we're building an incredibly diverse influencer community. It's something we've been focused on from the beginning, but we wanted to raise the bar and get even more purposeful and hold ourselves accountable. And so, for example, we've allocated dedicated budget to making sure that we are branching into and deepening relationships in a range of diverse influencer communities. We also more than doubled the amount of UGC we're posting on our own social channels so that we can show a broader range of representation. And we're tracking the amount of BIPOC UGC that we're sharing on our channel to make sure, again, that we're showing up in all the right ways. So we've made some public commitments and shared publicly progress that we've made on this front, and we'll continue to do so, because for us it's a journey. We want to continually raise the bar, and we're really looking for this to be very public and transparent in order to drive that accountability for ourselves with our community of glow getters.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that not only you commit to it, but you kind of have accountability and goals towards diversity and inclusion. Because I think, so many of, I'm sure, the audience watching and brands out there have goals towards being more diverse and having that diverse presence. What have been, I guess, if anything, the challenges of making sure that the team and the marketing strategy and the social media presence out there has been diverse? How are you measuring it? And what advice, I guess, would you give to brands that are watching to kind of build a more, who want to build a more diverse presence?
I think first and foremost, it's about making sure that internally you're focused on DE&I in all the right ways. And so we took a hard look at our own team composition, and we have been working very hard to make sure that as we grow our team, we're continuing to build an increasingly diverse team internally. And that was part of the update we shared externally on social in terms of the progress we've been making internally with our own team composition. Because I think making sure that you have a diverse team and a broad range of experiences and voices on the team will just further embed that into everything that you do. So for us, I think that's where it starts. We also want to make sure that, again, in terms of our internal practices, values, processes, cultural norms, that we're really starting there. So, for example, we have had every single team member go through behaviors of inclusion training to really think about the small ways we can every day in, day out, really commit to creating an inclusive environment. So I would say it starts with your internal team, your internal culture, your internal training and processes and behaviors and cultural norms. From there, we've had every single team that touches the customer build out their annual priorities for the year, as well as a specific and dedicated plan when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We really want to make sure that ownership is embedded throughout the entire team for this important priority, and that it's not done centrally or just by me or the leadership team. This is really a commitment and something that we need every single team member to own. Then it really flows through to making sure that you're executing and, to your point, tracking progress and results. And so for us, that comes down to, for example, as I mentioned, tracking the representation of skin tones that we're showing in our own on our own organic social channels, and also our influencer community and the diversity within that, as well as I mentioned, dedicating budget to further building relationships in new diverse influencer communities. So that's a snapshot. It's a journey. We know there are areas where we want to continue to improve and raise the bar. And for us, it's really about that constant learning and dialogue, both with our community, with our team, to make sure that we're headed in the right direction.
Absolutely love everything you said, kind of starting from your core and almost kind of using that as something that resonates out, into all your external presences, and also how, diversity isn't an end state. It's kind of an evolving, ongoing goal, and you're kind of almost always holding yourself accountable to that. I guess to finish off, I think something that's just so obvious when you go to anything Tula, whether it's your social media, your website, is your values and that mission, and it just comes across so clearly in everything that you're doing. There's a lot of brands in the audience, and I think that what you said about mission-driven brands is right. And I think, here Aspire IQ, we really believe mission-driven brands are here to stay. People have so many choices nowadays. Everyone has a voice on social media. And the brands that stand for something we believe are going to be the ones that are going to win in the end and win in that, tough battle with, digital right now. What advice would you give, just given how I think foundationally focused you've been from the start, since you joined in 2018, on building a mission-driven brand and having that be so core to everything you're doing? Like, what would be your advice to all the brands in the audience that are trying to also do the same thing?
I think it really starts with a deep understanding of your customer. For us on Tula.com, our customers' average age is 32. Just under 75% are below the age of 35. And we call them glow getters. And we know that, to your point, brand values are incredibly important to how they think about making purchases. And so I would say focus in on your customer and what's important to them. And really, how we've thought about building out our mission around Embrace Your Skin was based on listening to our customers and reading reviews and micro data in terms of one-on-one conversations with the team in store and online to really understand the power of what it feels like to feel equally as beautiful with and without makeup, and what we could do to create a more positive conversation and relationship with your skin. So I would say start with your customer, understand what's important to them, and then really make sure that it's at the core of everything that you do. And I think this is really about making sure that the entire team knows that purpose from the day they start, and that you talk about it over and over, and you story tell around the power and impact it has on the community. And so that for us, again, it's really woven into every single team member's day to day in a way that is just very natural and authentic, and therefore flows through into everything that we do. So start with the customer, listen to them about what's important, and then really build that into the fabric of your culture and your strategy and your vision, and make sure that the team really feels it in their bones.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. Well, Savannah, so we've got the audience here. Is there anything else you'd want to share about your journey at Tula before we head out?
We've covered a lot of ground. It's been a great conversation. I think the final thing to mention is that we are in crazy growth mode. We've actually more than doubled the team in the last year, and we have over 20 open roles. So if anyone is excited about joining Tula, check out our careers page.
All right. Well, thank you, Savannah, so much for joining us. And it was a pleasure to have you and learn from you. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.